Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Jasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Om Vishubha Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashotara Sata Sri Srimati His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishubha Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashotara Sata Sri Srimati His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavina Ki Jai नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय श्री श्री गौनिताई की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ सुभद्रा बलदेव की जय गौर प्रेमानंदी all glories to the Samalivatis, all glories to the Samalivatis, all glories to the Samalivatis, all glories to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishupadaya Krishna Pastai Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Prachadine, Nirvesesha Sunnavadi Paschata Devatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Tato Jayamudirayeta Nashtaprayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah Sri Sri Gaunitai Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan Ki Jai Sri Sri Jagannath Subhadra Baladev Ki Jai. We are reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Skanda, 29th chapter, entitled Talks Between Narada and King Prachinabhari. This is sloka number 61. Sayanamimam utsrijya sasantam purusho yata karmatmanya hitam bhungte Tadrusene tare nava sayanamima mutsrijya swasantam purusho yata karmatmanya hitam bhunte tadrusene tare nava sayanamima mutsrijya swasantam purusho yata karmatmanya hitam bhunte tadrusene tare nava. Vaishnavis. Sayanam, lying down on the bed. Imam, this body. Utsrijya, after giving up, swasantam, breathing, purushaha, the living entity, yata, as karma, activity, atmani, in the mind, ahitam, executed, bhungte, enjoys, tadrusena, by a similar body, itarena, by a different body, va, or. Translation: the living entity, while dreaming, gives up the actual living body to the activities of his mind and intelligence. He acts in another body, either as a god or a dog. After giving up the gross body, the living entity enters either an animal body or demigod's body on this planet or on another planet. He thus enjoys the results of the actions of his past life. Please repeat. The living entity, while dreaming, gives up the actual living body to the activities of his mind and intelligence. He acts in another body, either as a god or a dog. After giving up this gross body, the living entity enters either an animal body or demigod's body on this planet or on another planet. He thus enjoys the results of the actions of his past life. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Although the root of distress and happiness is the mind, intelligence, and ego, a gross body is still required as an instrument for enjoyment. The gross body may change, but the subtle body continues to act. Unless the living entity gets another gross body, he will have to continue in a subtle body or a ghostly body. One becomes a ghost when the subtle body acts without the help of the instrumental gross body. As stated in this verse, Sayanam imam utsujya swasantam. The gross body may lie on a bed and rest, and even though the machinery of the gross body is working, the living entity may leave, go into a dream, and return to the gross body. When he returns to the body, he forgets his dream. Similarly, when the living entity takes on another gross body, he forgets the present gross body. The conclusion is that the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego, creates an atmosphere with desires and ambitions that the living entity enjoys in the subtle body. Actually, the living entity is in the subtle body, even though the gross body apparently changes, and even though he inhabits the gross body on various planets. All the activities performed by the living entity in the subtle body are called illusory because they are not permanent. Liberation means getting out of the clutches of the subtle body. Liberation from the gross body simply involves the transmigration of the soul from one gross body to another. When the mind is educated in Krishna consciousness or higher consciousness in the mode of goodness, one is transferred in either to the upper heavenly planets or to the spiritual world, the Vaikuntha planets. One therefore has to change his consciousness by cultivating knowledge received from Vedic instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the disciplic succession. If we train the subtle body in this life by always thinking about Krishna, we will transfer to Krishna Loka after leaving the gross body. This is confirmed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Janma karma cha me divyam evam jo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Thus, the change of the gross body is not very important, but the change of the subtle body is important. The Krishna consciousness movement is educating people to enlighten the subtle body. The perfect example in this regard is Ambarish Maharaj, who always engaged his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Savaimana Krishna Padaravindayo. Similarly, in this life, we should always fix our mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, who is present in his Archa Vigraha, the incarnation of the deity in the temple. We should also always engage in his worship. If we engage our speech in describing the activities of the Lord, and our ears in hearing about his pastimes, and if we follow the regulative principles to keep the mind intact for advancing in Krishna consciousness, we shall certainly be elevated to the spiritual platform. Then, at the time of death, the mind, intelligence, and ego will no longer be materially contaminated. The living entity is present, and the mind, intelligence, and ego are also present. When the mind, intelligence, and ego are purified, all the active senses of the living entity become spiritual. Thus, the living entity attains his Satchidananda form. The Supreme Lord is always in his Satchidananda form, but the living entity, although part and parcel of the Lord, becomes materially contaminated when he desires to come to the material world for material enjoyment. The prescription for returning home back to Godhead is given by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 34th sloka. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yudvaivam atmanam madparayanaha. Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnanam Janasalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakam Vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhalu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this sloka is spoken by Narada Muni to King Prachina Barishat. Very essential teachings of Lord Narada Muni. And King Prachina Barishat had asked a question. He had some doubt, philosophical doubt. He knew very well that there's a process of transmigration. The living entity transmigrates from one body to another among all the different species of life, 8,000,004 species of life. And the living entity, the jiva soul, transmigrate from one body to another continuously. Since time immemorial, he has been transmigrating in this way from one body to another. So he has some doubt. He is telling to Narada Muni that, please explain to me, when the living entity leaves this body, material body, and goes into another one, so the question is, the expert knowers of the Vedic conclusions say that one enjoys or suffers the results of his past activities. But practically it is seen that the body that performed the work in the last birth is already lost. So how is it possible to enjoy or suffer the reactions of that work in a different body? At the time of death, we are quitting the body for good. No more connection. And enter another body by the arrangement of the Lord. Now, if we have to enjoy the result of the activities of the previous body, how is it possible? We have nothing to do anymore with the previous body. We have a new body. So let us live in this new body given to us by the grace of Krishna. What do we have to know? How we are concerned with the previous life. That life is gone. We don't remember. We have no idea. We are born. We don't know what's happening. And if we are born as a human being for 6 months in the womb of the mother, we have no idea where we are. We are just spending time. And then after 6 months, a little consciousness is coming. We are trying to find out our surroundings. We are moving little bit here and there. And we are feeling very much distressed in that condition. We are packed up so much. We are in the liquid of the womb of the mother, and so many, the small insects and other germs are there. They are biting our tender body. We find very much uncomfortable then. After some time, again, we are coming out and we are seeing here what's happening, where are we, what are we doing here. We have no idea about the past body. So how do we enjoy the present body according to the reactions of the past body? That is the question of King Prachina Barishat. So Narada Muni is answering that he says in the previous sloka that the living entity acts in a gross body in this life. This body is supposed to act by the subtle body, composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. After the gross body is lost, the subtle body is still there to enjoy or suffer. Thus, there is no change. So then this sloka, Narada Muni is again telling the same, that through the activities of his mind and intelligence, he acts in another body. After giving up this gross body, the living entity enters either an animal body or demigod body on this planet or another planet. He thus enjoys the results of the actions of his past life. So in this way, Narada Muni is answering to the question that how is it that there is a continuity between one body and the next body? So the answer is given that yes, not only we are living with this gross body, we are also living within a subtle body constituted of mind, intelligence, and ego. And this subtle body always accompanies the soul from one body to the next body. And when the subtle body is there in the gross body, it will accumulate all the impressions, desires, ambitions, and experiences of the living entity in that particular gross body. It will be accumulated in the subtle body. So nothing is lost. Everything is there, in a subtle form, though we may not understand actually what's happening. Like King Prachina Barishat is a very well educated gentleman, and he has also received many instructions from brahmanas and acharyas. Still, he could not, apparently, he had still a doubt about what's happening at the time of transmigration. And therefore, Narada Muni is explaining this Vedic teaching that we have two bodies. One body is obviously the gross body. We are very much familiar with that. And the subtle body. We are also familiar with the subtle body. But we are thinking that there is this subtle body that is my identity. That is a very common type of understanding. If you look at the teachings of the Western philosophers, you will see that most of them have this impression that who am I? Hmm? Who am I? Oh, that's a very big question. So they don't know actually that they are pure spirit soul, absolutely having nothing to do with this material world, purely spiritual part and parcel of Krishna, that they have no idea about that, most of them. And they consider the self, the person, as a subtle body. His identity is the thinking, feeling, willing, and he is possessed of a gross body, which he has to give up in course of time. But they do not know that the subtle body is actually permanent in the sense that as long as we are in the material world, as long as the soul transmigrates from one gross body to another, the subtle body accompanies the soul. These philosophers have no idea about that. They only think that, yes, I am, I exist. And what is this I? What is this existence? You find it in a very well defined and explained in philosopher René Descartes, the 17th century. If you look at the book Beyond Illusion and Doubt, you will find these conversations, Srila Prabhupada discussing the Western philosophers, about I think 39 of them. Srila Prabhupada spent 3 years discussing this with Shamsundar Prabhu and Hayagriva Prabhu. When the conversations were over, Srila Prabhupada was asking, where is the book? Where is the book? So Prabhupada was so much intent to see these conversations being published and distributed, because everywhere in the world, not only in the West, in India also, at school, if you have to study the Western philosophers, and if you don't know, then you cannot pass your exam. This is important subject matter. And these Western philosophers do not follow the Vedic teachings. So Srila Prabhupada wanted to reestablish on a very sound, very firm foundation the Vedic teachings, which do not, which are beyond the Western philosophies. And so one of them, René Descartes, he has explained in one of his books that let us have what is called tabula rasa. Tabula rasa in Latin language, that means empty table. Nothing on the table. I do not know anything. So that is a starting point in his book. I have no idea. I don't know anything. Nothing at all. Tabula rasa, empty. Then start thinking, and then the next is trying to find out that I want to establish at least one beginning of truth. What is the first truth? What is the beginning? Then he establishes, I think, therefore I am. That is very interesting, but very profound also. It is not nonsense. It is actually a fact. I think, therefore I am. This is at least part of the truth. And Srila Prabhupada hears this from Shamsundar, and he said, yes, that is true. I think, therefore I am. But this is not the complete truth. What do I think? what is the substance of my thinking? What is the truth in my thoughts? Certainly, I am. And that can be established because I'm able to think. So some activity, some living activity is there, therefore I am. But it doesn't go very far. It's only a basic ABC of spiritual knowledge which has to be developed according to Vedic teachings. So here if we take up Narada Muni's teachings, it will be very nice to develop that idea. I think. What is that thinking? It is not isolated. It is not something that is coming from nowhere. It is just coming in my mind, and suddenly it is coming out of my mind. I speak something, I think something. Is it coming from nowhere? No, not like that. Narada Muni says, all these thought processes, all these activities of mind, intelligence, ego, are coming from previous lives. They have accumulated and they are not now present in your mind and you are expressing them. So that is your life. So your life is not independent. It is not out of nowhere. It is not by chance. Some like a bubble coming on the surface of the water. Not like that. It has a past. And it will have a future also. So it is very essential. It is not only the product of your past lives, it is also the beginning of your future lives. If you can control your mind, intelligence, ego, you can also give a destination to your future. You will not be a prisoner and thrown here and there without your consentment. You will be able to choose your destination. If at all, you can control your mind. So there's a very essential teaching, very important teaching of Narada Muni. And we can understand that this formed the basis of the teachings of Srimad Bhagavad Gita also. And as explained in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that Bhumi rapo nayo vayu kam mano buddhi levacha ahankaraiti amme bhinna prakriti rashtada. All these elements found in nature, Lord Krishna said, these are my own. I'm the proprietor, but they are separate from me. But I am the cause of all these elements. And not only these gross elements, which are visible and can be, contacted with the senses, the objects of the senses. So not only that, but the inner reality, man, buddhi, ahankar, Lord Krishna said, they are also my own. I am also the proprietor, but that is also external. Bhinna prakriti rashtada. 8 factors, 8 categories. Bhinna, external, not of my own nature, but external. So we understand from this that we have a very intimate connection with Lord Krishna. Krishna says, your mind, you think this is your mind? No. This is your intelligence? No. Your ego? No. All this belongs to me. Your mind, intelligence, ego, this is my property. So that everybody is proud. Those who are intelligent, going to school, getting diploma, becoming scientists and philosophers, politicians, they are very proud that this is by their own intelligence, they have cultivated knowledge, spent so many years in school, and uh, trying to develop all this knowledge. They are very proud. This is my own. This is my discovery. This is the scientific advancement. All great scientists are there. Uh, and but Krishna said, "This is my own, my own property only. Whatever knowledge you can develop, that also belongs to me. So everything belongs to Krishna. The entire material world, gross and subtle, belongs to Krishna. So this is a very important information that nobody can discover by himself. Like I was talking, René Descartes, like the many great philosophers are there. They are very intelligent in their own field, and many truths also. They have expounded many truths. But one thing that they could never discover is that these faculties of mind and intelligence belong to Krishna. Some have the idea that whatever good idea I have, whatever truth I can speak, God makes me speak that truth. God is there behind. Some are God conscious and they understand that God is the source of truth. But about Krishna, they have not heard about Krishna. And therefore, this is what we have to hear from Narada Muni and from the Acharyas, that Krishna is the source of all material, spiritual world. He is the goal of life. So, in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that Uddhare Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhur Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is a friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So, this chapter, 6th chapter, and other sloka from Bhagavad Gita, we understand very well from the teachings of Lord Krishna that a very essential aspect of life is to purify the mind. We have received the mind from our previous lives, but now as a human being, we have the opportunity to purify the mind and to make it spiritual. Spiritual means which will not have any reaction. Whatever is in the mind and whatever activities of the body, according to the teachings of the instructions of the spiritual mind, that will not have a reaction and will be able to achieve success, going back home, back to Godhead. So the teachings of Bhagavad Gita are giving the essential basis, what is the basic truth, and how to improve our condition to the extent of achieving the complete spiritual success. Yad gadva nanivartante tad dharma paramam mama. So in many sloka, Lord Krishna is telling that if you can achieve this purification of the mind, that will purify the bodily activities also. And in a pure consciousness at the time of death, antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastyati samsayaha. Lord Krishna says, if you can keep this purified mind at the time of death, when you are leaving this gross body, that mind will take you to the spiritual world by my grace. Lord Krishna will understand that this person finally, at the time of death, is thinking about me. So he is rescuing, he is taking that person to his own abode. And this is possible by cultivating Krishna consciousness throughout life. Not only at the time of death. At the time of death, we are not in good condition. Our body, our mind is completely suffering, and we are not in a good mood. We are thinking, what's happening to me? What shall I do next? Where shall I go? I cannot do anything. So our mind is disturbed. But if we have been trained in Krishna consciousness from beginning of life, then certainly at the time of death we'll be able to practice all these teachings. We have practiced throughout life, and at the time of death, with the mercy of Lord Krishna, then and the mercy of the spiritual master, we'll be able to remember and practice and think of Krishna. And by thinking of Krishna, go back to Krishna. So, therefore, Krishna says that the mind can be either friend or enemy. The mind is generally full of lust, anger, greed, these low qualities. And it is simply taking us down to the hellish planets if we are not careful. That is the propensity of the mind. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna that be very careful about your mind. Your mind is your worst enemy if you are not careful. It is full of karmaisha, krodhaisha, rajoguna, samudbhava. All this is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna is explaining. This is the natural propensity of the mind in the material world to go down, to be subject to these low propensities. So in this way, the mind will be your enemy. Vidyihinam vairinam. So he is the worst enemy. You have to combat, you have to fight. First of all, you fight against this enemy and make it in the mode of goodness, and then in the spiritual nature. So this is the activity human being should concentrate on. So otherwise, if the mind is not the friend, if mind is enemy, then this is very dangerous for you. The purpose of the yoga system is to control the mind and to draw it away from attachment to sense objects. It is stressed herein that the mind must be so trained that it can deliver the conditioned soul from the mire of nations. In material existence, one is subjected to the influence of the mind and the senses. In fact, the pure soul is entangled in the material world because the mind is involved with a false ego which desires to lord it over material nature. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. So that is the false ego, thinking I'm doing all this, and not considering that actually material nature is keeping us prisoner. We have no liberty, no freedom of thinking, of expression, of activity. We are completely under bondage in the conditioned state of existence. we have to come out of this situation. And that is possible by approaching the spiritual master. He will tell us, he will guide us, he will teach us how to come out of this conditioned state of life. We have to be very eager and sincere and determined while following the rules and regulations of spiritual life. So this is the teachings of Lord Krishna. In another sloka also, Lord Krishna says that Maya sakta mana partha yogam yunjan madasrayaha asamsayam samagram mam yata gyasasi tatshrinu. Lord Krishna said to Arjuna, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So in this way, how to develop Krishna consciousness is taught by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. And these are the teachings that we have received from the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Srinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtanaha Vidyantasto Hyabadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Like this, the Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining how to become perfectly Krishna conscious by hearing topics of Lord Krishna. Srinvatam Sakata Krishna. So Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. This is the method by which we can purify the mind and develop Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Ambarish Maharaj. Savai Mana Krishna Pada Ravindayoho. He engaged in his mind at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna constantly. In this way, he achieved perfection in his life. So, remembering Lord Krishna's lotus feet, that is easy, made possible by hearing. By hearing, you remember automatically. It is not, you don't have separately to remember. That is not possible. Remembrance is possible only if you have heard. So first is Sravanam, then only you can remember. And Sravanam Kirtanam, by repeating, engaging in a Nam Sankirtan or reading and explaining the sloka from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Kirtanam, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So by Sravanam Kirtanam, automatically Smaranam is coming. That is the next item. So Ambarish Maharaj, he not only remembered, but he also heard and chanted on the glories of Lord Krishna. And in this way, he could constantly remember and achieve perfection. So that is the formula given by Narada Muni in the next slokas. But Narada Muni is explaining the basis that how transmigration is made possible. It is not that you are giving up only a gross body with dead body. Actually, people are thinking that I am that dead body, that gross body. As long as there are those who are totally ignorant, and that is the majority of people, they identify with the gross body. So when somebody, family member dies, then the body is kept like this, then what's happening? The body is there, everything is there, all the chemicals are still there, all the organs, everything is there. Then what's happening? Why the he is not living anymore, then what happened? If that person is identical with the body, then what's happened at the time of death? The body should be still living. The body is there now, and what is death? So they have no understanding actually what is death. Death means you give up this gross body, but the subtle body is present. In this way, transmigrates to another gross body. So otherwise, if people have this idea that the body constitutes life itself, then as Hansuta Swami had gone when he was in Sri Lanka, there was a challenge. I think everybody knows that challenge given. And it was published in the local newspaper that on such and such a day and time, such a place, it will be open to the public. Everybody should come and participate in this meeting, very important meeting. What is the subject matter? The subject matter is how to produce life from matter. Because there was one professor, he had made public that yes, life comes from matter. So Hansota Swami, okay, I challenge you. You come here, we'll have meeting, and in front of everybody, I'll give you all the chemicals. They are freely available in the marketplace, or whatever chemical you want. You bring, I'll help you. You bring everything and put on the stage. Public can see. All chemicals will be there. And you come and like this, you produce even a small ant, small insect. If you can produce that, then I will accept. I will become your disciple. Yes, matter can produce life. Yes. So the challenge was published in the newspaper, and on the last day, everybody was ready to go and attend the program. Oh, sorry, program is cancelled. That professor canceled the program. Anyway, so that is the very important information we get from Narada Muni and all the acharyas in the Vedic scriptures. The settled body carries the soul from one body to another, and all the reactions of past life can be experienced because they are being preserved in the subtle body. So that is the explanation. Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.